There's a microphone, and bring it up here, Alan.
Dr. Kinneer.
Who owns the waste away? It's a joke about Rick Ross.
The question I have is, we've got some good friends who are very deep into dispensationalism, and everything you said, no matter how well you said it, I cannot get them. If they accepted this presentation, I still believe they would not equate the first and second tables of the law with loving your neighbor. How in the world, what's the best approach for getting them to not have this disconnect? Is there one? I guess that's the question.
I don't know. I mean, I don't know them as persons. I don't know how to deal with them. Intellectually speaking, I would tend to resort to some kind of reductio ad absurdum, where I would take their position and force it to its conclusions and show them how absurd it is. Okay. But dispensationalism is a modern heresy, and it reflects the modern incapacity to read and interpret literature with human authenticity. Dispensationalism and higher criticism are flip sides of the same coin. They both will do the same thing to texts. Okay, they will take the text not in its natural and intended sense with the contextual markers of meaning, but they will demand a meaning of it that it cannot possibly have as literature, and then they will either make it into weird theology, dispensationalism, or make it into a reason why the Bible's wrong. Yeah, and they're both like, would you guys learn how to read literature? That's the literature guy saying that. So. Thank you.
The word circumcision in Galatians, we usually understand circumcision to be the sign and seal of the gospel according to Romans 4:11.
Right.
But I think in the book of Galatians, according to your presentation, we should understand Paul to be using the word circumcision as a sign of that distorted version of the law and not really the biblical understanding of circumcision.
That's correct. To be exact, Paul can both say that if you let yourself be circumcised, you are cut off from Christ, and he can have Timothy circumcised. Okay. If a person submits to circumcision in the Old Covenant as an act of faith, it's a sign of the covenant of grace. But within Judaism, it is an acceptance of the Pharisaical and rabbinic misinterpretation of the law and all of the requirements that are in it. Okay? And you see, Paul says, curses everyone who does not abide by all the things written in the book of the law to perform them, which people take to mean curses everyone who does not keep every commandment perfectly without sin. That's not what that means. To abide by all the things written in the book of law, to do them, is to come to God with faith and repentance, because that's what the law pictures in its ceremonies. But the man who thinks I must be circumcised in order to be justified before God, and I must keep all these outward ceremonies to be a righteous person, has denied the meaning of circumcision. He has wrecked it. And so he curses everyone who does not abide by all the things written in the book of the law. What's it not abiding by? Because he didn't tithe quite enough, or he had a bad thought in his head when he, no. Because he had no faith and no repentance. See, the Westminster Standards are very clear. What does God require of us to escape his wrath and curse? God requires of us faith in Jesus Christ, repentance unto life, and the diligent use of the means of grace. That's what God required for Noah, for Abraham, for Moses, for David. It's what Jesus perfected in his death and resurrection, and what he requires of us. Because there's one covenant of mercy and grace.
Another question. Up here, Alan?
In Romans 6:14, you said that you think it means that we're not under the ceremonial law, but how about under the condemnation of the moral law as well?
Romans 6:14. No, that one I was specifically talking about the Jewish misinterpretation of the law.
Okay, so in Romans 6:14, when he says we're not under the law.
Under law.
Is he speaking about the condemnation of the moral law as well?
No, I don't think at that point. I don't think that's in the flow of context of the idea. Okay. All right.
Any other questions? Okay, thank you, Dr. Kinneer. In just a moment, we will take a 20-minute break, and we will resume again at 8:30. There are refreshments. There is a book table. There are restrooms on this first floor and the second floor, and in the basement there are more restrooms for the men. And if you have any questions, see Mark Sampson or myself or Bethany or Kim, one of the other staff, and we will try to help you. Enjoy your break, and we will resume at 8:30.